Good morning. Hey guys, so I am busy working on preserving some things here. I've got some more beans that I will be cleaning up and snapping and blanching and freezing. And right now I'm working on these. Check this out. Earlier in the summer, I was invited by a local family to come over to their home where they have this just amazing blueberry grove. I mean, it's like hashtag goals. I would dream of having something like this on our property, and maybe someday we will. But they had this big, beautiful blueberry grove and invited me to come over and dig up some of the little baby blueberry plants because they needed to clear the rows in between all of the blueberry bushes, and they had all these little baby plants that were growing up. So I went over there and we dug up several of them. I brought a bunch of them home. I gave some of them to a friend of mine, and that is where several of those blueberry plants that are out there in that raised bed in the front garden, that's where they came from. They also gave me some baby raspberries, and I did not plant those in the ground yet. Those are actually in pots, and I am growing those in the nursery pots until the plants have a little bit more size to them, and then I will create an area to plant those. But it is now full-blown blueberry season, and so they said come on over and pick some blueberries, and I did. I picked quite a few, didn't even really make a dent in all of their blueberries that they have going on there. So what I'm doing to save these, now I don't really have time to can at the moment, and so what I'm doing is I'm freezing all of these blueberries. I brought home almost 2 gallons of them, and I have soaked them in some water to clean them off, get any debris. Pieces of stem and leaves all kind of float to the top, and so I just kind of run water through here. It flushes that out, and then I drain them, and I'm laying them in single layers. This is one layer, and I'm going to take some parchment paper, cover this layer, and put another layer on top. Freeze them on the pans, and then as soon as they are frozen, I can take them and put them in individual freezer containers. And what that does is it keeps the blueberries from freezing into a solid clump and makes it much easier to actually use later on. And that's the case for anything that's delicate, whether it's blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, anything delicate like that you don't want frozen into a solid mass. If you freeze it in sheets first, then package it up, it makes it a much better situation. You can also see behind me some of my tomatoes I've got to work on. Those are what I'm kind of prioritizing right now as far as the canning goes, and so I will get to these blueberries later on, although I won't can all the blueberries, of course. I will save a good bit of them just frozen solid to use for things like muffins and scones and waffles and all of that. So I'm just gonna take the blueberries, just kind of a couple handfuls at a time, and I'm spreading them out and looking at them, making sure there's no debris that I missed. And while most of the blueberries came off without the stems, some of them did keep their stems. And I don't want to eat these later on. And so as I'm spreading out the blueberries on the sheets, I just go ahead and I just kind of roll them around, look for stems, and remove them as I go. And then I'll also look for any blueberries that maybe don't look very good, maybe were kind of accidentally picked and are nowhere near ripe, and I'll just set all of those aside. Alright, so I just want to say this is why my grandmother, who did a ton of canning, had 2 kitchens. She had her normal kitchen on the main floor where she did all her stuff, all her normal cooking, had the kitchen table and all that good stuff. But downstairs in the basement, where it was a finished basement, she had a whole nother complete kitchen, and it was a beautiful kitchen. But this is why she had 2 kitchens. Mr. Smith's getting one of the dehydrators down for me.
Well, not this one.
Yeah, that one. This is our old Nesco dehydrator, and it's pretty much dedicated to dehydrating peppers nowadays. But look at this. Every inch of every surface is covered with stuff. There's peppers, there's peaches that I picked up. I've got tomatoes everywhere. Tomatoes over there. The kitchen table is covered. So, this morning I pulled out the frozen blueberries. I portioned those up, put them in containers, cleared up the baking sheets that I had them freezing on. Right now I'm about to do all of these green beans and purple beans. I've got about 3 gallons here. I've had them soaking in salt water, and I soak them in the salt water to kill off any kind of critters that might be in there and soak off any dirt, and then I just kind of pull them out, put them in a colander and rinse them. So now I'm going to get started working on those, and once I get those taken care of, it'll be on to the tomatoes, and there's a lot of them. Oh, and Mr. Smith has a big old pot of boiled peanuts going on right now on the stove. Yeah, wish I had my grandma's old house with the 2 kitchens. That'll come in handy right about now.